Hello again. I was talking to someone who said he was kind of a rock player, and he's trying to learn what he called jazz chords. I'm not sure there's really any such thing as jazz chords, but I know what he meant. So I just thought we'd take a look. This is kind of a basic lesson, so if you've been playing for a long time and you've really been playing jazz standards and stuff for quite a long time, you could probably bypass it. But if you know a friend who's sort of just getting into standards and major sevens and minor sevens and, minor seven flat fives and all those kinds of chords, 13s, 9s, 11s, maybe you could let the person know about it. But anyway, this is just a simple diagram. So if we look first at this voicing for a chord, we have the root on the bottom, then we have the seventh above that, and then the third, and then the fifth. So over here, I'm showing what we're going to start on, which is basically, the horizontal lines are the strings, and then the vertical lines are just the frets. So here we're at the third fret, and we're going to work on starting out with a G major 7 chord. Okay? So we've got the root G on the 6th string. We've got the 7th, which is the F sharp, on the 4th string. We've got the third of the chord, the B, which is on the 3rd string, and the 5th of the chord is D on the 2nd string. So let's take a look at that. We're going to use that as the basis from which to find our other chord types. So bear with me here. So I've got D on the 2nd string, as we just saw, B on the 3rd string, 4th fret, F sharp on the 4th string, 4th fret. I've got G on the 6th string, 3rd fret. For all of these chords, at least this first set we're looking at, we're going to blot out the 5th string. So the underside of my index finger is just laying, lightly touching the 5th string. And likewise, the 1st string is just dead, or else just don't play it. Okay, so we've got our G major 7. Again, reviewing, the root is on the 6th string. Above that, we have the 7th of the chord, the F sharp, on the 4th string. Above that, we have the B on the 3rd string, and we have the D, the 5th. So this voicing is root, and then the 7th, and then the 3rd, and then the 5th. So this is called the G major 7. Again, blotting out the 5th string. So if I play the 1st string on the 5th string, that's all you'd hear. But now when you're playing the chord, you don't hear that. All right. Just as a point of reference, if I moved my 7th on the 4th string, the F sharp, up 1 fret, we'd have a regular G major chord. Okay. So from the G major 7, we know our 7th is here on the 4th string. Let's move it down 1 fret. We're actually keeping everything else the same. Sometimes you have to rearrange your fingers, but really the only note that's changing from this G major 7 to G7 is the F sharp on string 4 is moving down a fret to F natural. But we've still got the root G on the 6th string. We've got the flatted 7th now, because we took that 7th that naturally occurs in the key of G and we flatted it to get our G7. That's on the 4th string. We've got our B, which is still the 3rd of the chord. That's on the 3rd string, and the 5th is still D, and it's still on the 2nd string. So we're moving from G major 7 to G7, or what's sometimes called G dominant 7. On the page, it's just G7, nothing else. Okay, now, we discussed that the 3rd of the chord, the B, is here with my little finger, and it's on the 3rd string, 4th fret. I'm going to move that down, but rather than play it this way, I'm just going to make it easier. I'm going to bar strings 2, 3, and 4 with my ring finger, and I'm going to simply play the 6th string G with my middle finger. But here again, 5th string is blotted out, 1st string is blotted out. Again, if you have a hard time blotting out the 1st string, just don't play it. I'm using fingers right now. Okay, this is called G minor 7. Okay. We've got G major 7, first one. We've got G7 or G dominant 7 with that F sharp lowered to F on the 4th string. Then we're going to lower the B natural to B flat on the third string, and that gives us the G minor 7. Nice chord. Okay, so we know already that the second string note on the third fret there is our fifth of the chord, which is D. I'm going to flat that D and make it a D flat, but I'm going to keep everything else the same, even though it might look different. That's a G minor 7 with a flat 5. Okay, so I hope you're being able to follow me here. We've got G major 7, G dominant 7, or G7, G minor 7, and then just lower the second string, leave everything else where it was. This is G minor 7, flat 5. Now, right now we've got on this fourth string, third fret, this note here, F, that's what's known as the flat 7 in the key of G. Normally in the key of G, if you play a G major scale, you're not going to play an F, you're going to play an F sharp. So this is the flat 7. You take your F sharp and you flat it down to normal F, F natural. We're going to lower that F, which is the flat 7th of our G chord. We're going to lower that down to E. So the progression is going to be from the first chord, G major 7, to G7, to G minor 7, to G minor 7, flat 5. And now we're going to lower that fourth string, F, down to E. And we've got our G diminished 7. If I play the notes individually, G major 7, we've got G the root, F sharp the 7, B the third, D the 5th. Here's G7, G, the flat 7, F, B, D. Here's our G minor 7, G, the flat 7, F, the flat third, B flat, and D. Here's our G minor 7, flat 5, G, F, B flat, and now we flat that D down to D flat. It's very common in minor key tunes. And then last but not least, if we grab that where my middle finger is on the fourth string, third fret, the F, a better way to finger it to get our G diminished 7 is to bar strings 2, 3, and 4 at the second fret. Put the tip of your third finger on the third string, third fret, and put your third finger on the sixth string, third fret. So it looks like that when you play them individually. Okay? So that's really all it amounts to. Now that's with the root on the fifth string. Naturally, you don't have to play everything as G. You could play A major 7, A7, A minor 7, A minor 7 flat 5, moving the second string down a fret, and then A diminished 7. You know, you could do C, C major 7, C dominant 7, C minor 7, C minor 7, C minor 7 flat 5. Move the fourth string down a fret, you've got C diminished 7. Okay, let's just look at something called extensions. So we've got, I don't even know if they're called extensions. I mean, I know the 9th is, the 13th is, but we've got our G major 7, no matter what we call it. So as we pointed out, string 4, 4th fret is F sharp. That's the 7th that naturally occurs in the key of G. It's the 7th of the chord. I'm going to move it down 2 frets to E, and that's going to be the 6th in the key of G. So everything else is staying the same. We've got our D on top, that's the 5th. We've got our B, the 3rd. Now we've got our E, which is the 6th of the chord, and we've got the G. Again, blotting out the 5th and 1st. This is a G6, sometimes referred to as G major 6. It's just simpler to call it G6. Usually that's how it's positioned on the page, G6. Okay, if we go back to our G major 7, okay, the one we started out with. Now, if I just lower the second string from this D down to D flat, just bear in mind that we're keeping everything else the same. Even though my hand looks like it's in a different position, you're really only changing the note on the second string. So this is actually a G major 7 with a flat 5. I kind of like that sound. Okay, looking again at our G major 7, you know, if you just leave off the bass note on the 6th string, we've got that same shape. I haven't changed anything. If you put the little finger on 1st string, 5th fret, you've got the A. That's a G major 9. Now Now if you can wrap around your thumb onto the G, now you've got a full G major 9 with the G on the 6th string. If you can't do that and you're good at barring, you can just bar all 6 strings, pinky on the 1st string, ring finger on the 3rd string, middle string on the 4th string, excuse me. That's a G major 9, very nice chord. So we looked at G6, we looked at G major 9, we looked at G major 7 flat 5. If we look again at the G major 7 we started out with, and if I just raise the 2nd string, I've got a G major 7 with a sharp 5, which you can actually do this way. Excuse me. Okay, so let's take a look now at some things we can do with the minor 7. So here's our G minor 7. Remember, we went from G major 7 to G dominant 7, or G7, down to G minor 7. Well, here on the G minor 7, it's easier to make it into a G minor 9. You just put the pinky on 1st string, 5th fret. Okay, let's go back to our G minor 7. I'm going to lower the 4th string, which is our F, which is our flathead 7th. I'm going to lower it down to E. But everything else is remaining the same. Okay? Now I've got G on the bottom, I've got E, 4th string, I've got B flat, then D, then G on the first 3 strings. That's G minor 6. So a common thing is to go from G minor 7 to G minor 6. G minor 7, throwing in the 9th. Okay, so yeah, we've got G minor 6, we've got G minor 7. Yeah, let's just leave it at that maybe for now. Well, okay, one last one. Here's G minor 7. Again, the 7th is the note that's on the 4th string. If I raise that from F up to F sharp, now we've got this. It's called a G minor with a major 7. It happens in minor keys, like the key of G harmonic minor. All it is the G minor 7, again, raising the 4th string. Everything else is kind of staying the same. Okay, so we looked at major 7s and some of the extensions. We looked at the minor 7s. Minor 7 flat 5 is this. G minor 7 flat 5. I don't usually do a whole lot with that. The only thing you can do sometimes if you're doing a chord melody arrangement is I've got my flat 5th, which is the D flat on the 2nd string. Sometimes you might need to move that down an octave, in which case you wind up with this. Now I've got the D flat on the 5th string, 4th fret. That would be like if you had a B flat melody note from the tuned melody. Okay, now it gets more interesting here when we move to the G7s. So here's G7 again. Root on the 6th string, flatted 7th on the 4th string, the 3rd, natural 3rd on the 3rd string, and the 5th on the 2nd string. A lot of fun things you can do with this, as you probably know. Okay, now if I raise the D up to D sharp, I've got a G7 with a sharp 5. That D was our 5 in the G7 chord. Now if I raise it up a fret, it's G7 with a sharp 5. Likewise, if I go back to G7 and lower the 2nd string, it's G7 with a flat 5. Okay, so basically it's this. The bass note stays the same, it's always G. Raise the 2nd string for a G7 sharp 5, back to G7. Now lower the 2nd string for a G7 flat 5. Likewise, if I've got my G again, the same bass, this is the rest of the G7 chord, but if I put down, let's try it this way first. Let's try it as a bar chord. So we've got this G7, which you probably know already. Put the pinky down on the A. We now have a G9. Now, if we take that 9 on the 1st string, the A, move it down to an A flat. This little diminished looking shape, the root would be G. That's a G7 with a flat 9. I took the 9, which was the A, and I moved it down to A flat, which is the flat 9. Okay, so we've got G7, we've got G7 sharp 5, we've got G7 flat 5, we've got G7 flat 9, and now if we go back to our G7 bar chord and put the pinky on the B flat first string 6th fret, it's kind of like a Hendrix G7 sharp 9. Okay? All right. If we just take a look at a different way to stack the notes in the chord, it would be the lower one here. So really what we're looking at here is a C major 7 to start out. Here the configuration of notes is a bit different. We still have the root on the bottom, but above that we have the 5th, then we have the 7th, and then we have the 3rd. But yeah, that's the shape that we're going to start out with. It's a C major 7. The root is on the 5th string, 3rd fret. Okay, so let's take a look. We've got E, B on the 3rd string, G on the 4th string, C on the 5th string, 3rd fret. I love major 7s, always have. Okay, so this is a C major 7. Walk through it again. We have the root, C. We've got the 5th, G on the 4th string, 5th fret. We've got the B natural, the 7th of the chord on the 3rd string, and we've got the E, the 3rd of the chord on the 2nd string. Okay, let's find our B on the 3rd string. Now bar with the 1st finger and remove the middle finger. So you're moving actually the 3rd string from B to B from B natural to B flat. You probably know that. That's a C7, C dominant 7, C7. Okay, so we got C major 7, we got C dominant 7. Let's move that 3rd of the chord, the E, down from a major 3rd, which is E, down to 2nd string 4th fret, which is E flat. That gives us C minor 7. I'm borrowing with the 1st finger. I've got the middle finger on the 2nd string. I've got the ring finger on the 4th string. So again, we have C major 7 to start out, C dominant 7, C minor 7. Now to get C minor 7 flat 5, let's grab our 5th of the C chord, which is this G on the 4th string. And rather than break your wrist, let's just play it this way. Better fingering. So that's a C minor 7 with a flat 5. So again, C major 7, remove the middle finger, C dominant 7 or C7. Lower the 2nd string, C minor 7. Now we're going to lower the 4th string and do a more pleasant fingering. C minor 7, flat 5. Now, 3rd string, 3rd fret is my B flat. That's the flat 7th of the C chord. I'm going to move that down to A. So we wind up with, excuse me, we've got E flat on the 2nd string, we've got A natural on the 3rd string, F sharp on the 4th string, and C on the 5th string. This is just a C diminished. So just reviewing, C major 7, C7, C minor 7, C minor 7 flat 5, and then C diminished. So the A, in reality, the A in the key of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, is the 6th of the key. It's the 6th note in the C major scale. But for purposes of spelling it out with that C diminished, I think they refer to it as a double flat 7. So, you know, here's the C, here's the major 7, which occurs naturally in the major scale. Here's the flatted 7th, which we use in the chords like dominant 7 and minor 7. And they consider this a double flat 7. I kind of forget the reason why, but it's one of those quirky music theory things. So, we'll wrap it up. I hope this is helpful. Don't be intimidated by chords. I mean, chords are just beautiful. It's a whole world unto itself of harmony, and I'm still exploring it. You know, it's all kinds of areas I'm getting into that I never did before. G major 7, going back to the first form. G7, G minor 7, G minor 7 flat 5. Now, one thing I just wanted to show you here. If you recall, we said that, this was our G diminished 7. That's a G diminished 7. If we have a chord where the 4th string E on the 2nd fret is moved up to F, Yeah, that's our G minor 7 flat 5, but sometimes they consider it as though that's diminished and it's half diminished now. It's kind of wacky, but they call it half diminished. So the G minor 7 flat 5 is also known as G half diminished. And likewise, here we go with the other form. We've got C major 7, remove the middle finger to move that B natural down to B flat. You've got C7. Move the E on the second string down to E flat. You got C minor 7. Now move the G on the fourth string. Better fingering. You've got C minor 7 flat 5. Move that flat 7 down to a double flat 7, which in reality is just a sixth. It's A, and that's a C diminished. So let me know if you have any questions. I tried to just find a way to make it super simple. You know, the first one, we're basically playing the root, the seventh, the third, and the fifth. Root, third, seventh, fifth. The other configuration with the C major 7, where the root is on our fifth string instead of the sixth, we've got the root, the fifth, the third. No, sorry, the root, the fifth, the seventh, and then the third. Okay, Something, the song's by the Beatles, it starts out with C major, playing 3-note chord. C major 7, then it goes to C7. So, C major 7 right there, C7 right here, the B moves down to B flat. Okay, so anyway, let me know if you have any questions, hope it's helpful. Otherwise, keep practicing, have fun, and talk to you soon. Take care.